The crickets and night birds were a constant background squall behind us. I was edgy, my head whipping this way and that as I went. I still expected the foresters to make an appearance at any moment. It was strange to have the rules drilled into your head every day, and then find out that they might be untrue. Every step I took, I expected to step into a fog bank, and every step I didn't made me even more nervous. So, what were you saying about the night rules being crap? Well, just look around you, Terry said as he ducked under an overhanging limb. Do you see any foresters? Well, no, but there's supposed to be foresters out here. We tell every citizen of Rayffered that they come out after dark, but we haven't seen a one. That makes it seem like there might not be any foresters at all, and we've been taken off the streets for some other reason. What reason might that be, kid? Put it together now. I thought about it as we picked through the trees and shrubs on our way. This wasn't the deep woods, it was barely the outskirts. The plant life here was sparse, deer blinds and little thickets full of late-season prickles, and it wouldn't have been hard for a bunch of foresters to move here with relative ease and quiet. To get us off the streets so they can do what they want, I guess. Well, that's part of it. With everyone off the street, they can move as they want to and do what they want. It also gives them a chance to dispense poison and get rid of the beetles. That's not to say there are never foresters out here, but they have their quota for the season, so they aren't out in force right now. So we're back to the 12 victims a season, are we? I said, trying to keep my voice low as I reminded myself we were supposed to be sneaking. Of course, because it's at the heart of everything. It's near the end of the season, so numbers are down. Near the start of a new season, they're damn near everywhere. I wouldn't have dared to suggest this if it was early fall, but it's nearly winter now, so we might be a little safer. We'll still probably see some of them, but they've got their quota already, so it's unlikely. We came to the edge of a deep riverbed, now devoid of water or the fish the Cannery had been looking for back in the day. We went single file along the riverside, not wanting to get too close to the side so it wouldn't crumble on us. We figured we'd find the Cannery up ahead. We could see something in the near distance, something dark, darker than the trees and the bushes at least, and it had the sparkle of lights through windows. No, Terry said suddenly. What we're going after tonight is worse than the foresters. These are human monsters, and we can expect something a little worse than being turned if we get caught tonight. If they catch us in the Cannery, we can expect to get disappeared in very short order. I wanted to argue with him, but I knew it would be far too easy. They'd never look for us in the woods, not for too long at any rate. We'd just be two more bodies, getting picked clean out here. Our bullet holes or cut throats, nothing to write home about, once our flesh was gone. I didn't like to think about that, but I knew it could easily happen. There she is, Terry said, as the Cannery finally came into view, the crown jewel of Rayffered in its day. It was going to turn the town around, make us less dependent on the forest. And it was dry within 10 years of opening. I'm surprised it's still here, honestly. Thought for sure the forest would have swallowed it up. It should have been a shadowy haunted house, a dark relic of a bygone time, but it was lit up like the 4th of July. There were sprayer trucks out front, and we were careful to keep our distance since we could see people in the driver's seats. We made our way around the back, hoping for a back door and finding a ladder to a catwalk instead. At the top was a door that was held shut by a brand new Yale padlock. Keep an eye peeled, Terry said, as he took a knee and went at the lock. I did the same and took up a point position by the head of the stairs. Terry dug into his backpack and brought out a lockpick kit. I was a little bit impressed as he began to work the lock, testing and raking, and when it popped open as easy as I might open a jar of mayo, he grinned. He tucked the lock into his pocket and pushed the door open slowly, testing to make sure it wouldn't squeak. "They teach you that in college, too?" I asked, grinning. "Nah, that I picked up as a kid. I liked to steal liquor from my dad's cabinet when I was in high school, and after a while, you get pretty good at picking locks with these things." I stifled a laugh. It appeared Terry was full of surprises. The lock popped open a moment later, and we were inside. The door opened onto a musty office full of cobwebs and old furniture. This was probably once a nice office, but now it was home for spiders. The mahogany desk looked like it weighed a ton, and it bulged in odd places from water damage. One chair was on its side, another had been thrown against the far wall, and the chair the boss would have been sitting in was lopsided behind the ruined desk, 2 walls missing. The carpet was mushy, the fibers squishy underfoot as we came in, and Terry pulled the door closed gently. The windows that overlooked the area outside the office were illuminated by the harsh lights of halogen floodlights, and we edged our way slowly over to them as we peeked down and onto the factory floor. Whatever had been down there while the cannery was in operation had been taken out, and now the setup was something between a packing operation for opium and a craft table at a church social. There were 6 or 7 people gathered around the tables, wearing gas masks and thick rubber gloves, and they seemed to be reenacting an episode of Breaking Bad. They were mixing chemicals from burners and beakers, and the end result was a dark green concoction that was catching in a barrel. It looked a little like the slime kids play with, but I doubted it was as healthy. "That's got to be the stuff they're using to kill the beetles," Terry whispered, and nodded as a familiar pair came into the cannery through the double doors. Sheriff McKenzie had his hands stuffed into his pockets, but Mayor Register's arms were crossed as they creased his blue suit. They watched the men and women at work and appraised their efforts with a critical eye. Whatever it was, it could only be the poison for the beetles. They were turning it out in great quantities, and I could see them wince when some of it splashed onto their bare skin, the skin not covered by gloves. "I wish we could get a sample of it," Terry said. "It might be worth it. Give us something to study." I scratched my chin as they worked, trying to think of the best way to get my hands on some of it. "Suppose we could just wait until they finish mixing." Terry nodded. "Who knows? Maybe they'll even leave us some." We hunkered until the barrels started coming out, uniformed officers coming to take them to the trucks outside. And as they slipped off their gloves and gas masks and headed to their vehicles, I saw my opportunity. I wished I'd been close enough to overhear some of what the sheriff and the mayor were talking about, but there was no easy way to get close. They left as the barrels started coming out, and when the production floor was empty, I snuck down the stairs and got to snooping. The tables were a disaster area. Apparently, the stuff they used to make it wasn't just caustic to people, but also to furniture. There were pits and stains where the table's color had once been. I took up one of the mason jars near the edge and pipette so I could collect some of the liquid. There looked to be enough of it to make a decent sample for analysis. "Hurry up," Terry hissed from the catwalk. I had just about half a jar when I heard someone shout angrily from the doorway. I looked up to see the yawning barrel of Sheriff McKenzie's service pistol as it pointed in my direction. I looked for an escape, but it appeared I was in a pickle.
Good evening, everyone. It's me, Dr. Plague. Thank you so much for joining us for tonight's show.
If you think you might like a little more spooky in your life, then please feel free to click on one of the videos we have up here. Maybe look at one of the playlists if you're trying to get caught up. I know, there's so many videos on the channel. There's so many series that are going at the same time. Sometimes you just need a little refresher course, and I gotta say, I always enjoy the views. If you're not subscribed, feel free to hit that subscribe button. Maybe hit the bell so you don't miss anything. We upload a lot on this channel, so you won't want to miss a single story as they come out. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click on the Amazon link down there. There's quite a few books in my Amazon account. You can have a look, and if you'd like a signed copy, get up with me through email, and I'll be happy to work something out with you. Also, there's links to my Patreon, and you can become a member on the channel if you'd like your spooky a little bit early. Patrons and members on the $5 tier get their videos 12 hours early. That's in the morning as opposed to in the evening. Patrons at the $10 level also get a signed copy of my book anytime I write one. Speaking of my patrons, you should see them appearing right now. Just wanted to take a minute to say how much I appreciate all of you. Patrons, subscribers, however you give to the channel. I really appreciate everything you do, and it truly touches me that you have chosen to support the channel in this way. Well, that's enough for now. Till next time, Dr. Plague, signing off. Have a wonderful evening.